So when you talk about change, let's reflect, how do we feel about change? I'm sure all of you as kids went to a shop like this. It was a typical general store, grocery store, where there would be somebody in front. You go there, you get a few items, you ask him for something, he'll come and give it to you, and then you make a bill and go. Nowadays, I don't think you see too many of these kind of stores. What you see is stores like this. A typical convenience store or a supermarket where you walk around, you select your own items, put it in a cart, and then go and stand in line to find whichever items you would like to take. How do you feel about this? Do you miss the old grocery store? There were some disadvantages of the old grocery store, right? It was dusty. It was not very comfortable. You didn't have much of choice, or even if you had choice, you won't be able to see what the choices you are. So even if you ask somebody, he'll say, okay, I'll give you a soap, and he'll give you some soap. So the owner or the manager of the store had a lot of control on what you saw. Whereas in a supermarket, you have your own choice. You can see each item, touch each item, feel each item. In some cases, in some of these new supermarkets, you would also see some promotional stalls where you can even taste some of the things occasionally. And you can stroll around in the AC comfort and go and buy your own purchase. So definitely there were some pluses, but there are probably some negatives also. In an old grocery store, you would have a personal connect with the man. You recognize the man, he recognizes you. You talk to him, he talks to you about your family. There was a lot of personal bonding which used to happen with the manager of the store or the owner of the store in many cases. And sometimes, if you asked him for some special items, he can even order them for you, where in a supermarket probably you won't get that option. So pluses, minuses. So all change is like that. There are some negative aspects to any change, and there will be some positive aspects. And your feelings towards this change may be positive or negative. So what is change? And how do we go towards looking at change? Nathaniel Branden, one of the great thinkers on change, said the first step towards change is awareness, and the second step is acceptance. Ellen Glasgow said it very well: all change is not growth, as all movement is not forward. So some of the changes can be negative. And of course, you must recognize this without me telling you his name, Winston Churchill. What did he say? To improve is to change, to be perfect is to change often. So he took a very positive view, as you can see, towards change, and he said if you change often, you will become perfect. So now the question for us is, what is change management? See, whenever you go through a change situation, there is going to be resistance. Imagine you're telling your family that you're going to move from this place to a new place, a new house. Now, some of the people may be excited, but quite a few of them will say, oh, no, I don't want to move. I like this place a lot. My friends are nearby. Why should I go to the new place? Correct? Some people may say, oh, but it was so convenient here. The shops were so near. We're going to some remote place. It's not going to be good. But some people may be excited. They'll say, oh, wow, this place has so much of space and we can have a nice playground nearby. So there is always negative and positive associated with change. And in an organization, just like a family, there will be some people who are positive and some people who are negative. Change management is an approach. You as a HR business partner need to make the change happen. And it's your approach which matters. So it's the various tools and techniques, and we are going to talk about some of the tools and techniques to achieve these changes. Now, if you see change, I think we have talked about it enough, but so many companies fail to change and therefore they flop. Every day you hear about business failures. You open your magazine, or your newspaper, And you will see stories, right? Just today, for example, this is beginning of 2019, sometime in the middle of 2019 that I'm shooting this video. And when you open the paper, you'll see which are the companies which are failing. Jet Airways, for example, is a very famous failure. You can see companies like a lot of telecom companies going through really big problems. Reliance, for example, Reliance Telecom is going through a lot of change, hit by Jio and Airtel. And there were 6 major companies in the telecom industry. 3 of them have shut down, and only 3 are really existing. So you have only 3 major players: Vodafone, Airtel, and Jio. And Reliance is really shutting down. So why are some of these companies shutting down? Because they're not able to manage change. And this is because of a lack of commitment and follow through by senior executives. It's not that they don't know they have to change, but they're not able to follow through on the change. Project management skills among the middle managers to apply and do this change is very, very poor. And a lot of confusion amongst the frontline staff as to what is to be done. So these are companies which do not change. Let's take the reverse. What does McKinsey say that which had organizational change management programs? What are some of the characteristics of such programs? The senior management, the middle management, and the frontline executives were all involved. Everyone's responsibilities were clear. And the reasons for the change management were accepted. This is a very important statement. And we'll see when we see in model after model, the understanding has to be clear, right? So, for example, even if you're switching a house, if you just announce the change and say, hey, we have to switch the house, that may sound that many people won't accept it, but you could have prepared the reason for the change beforehand. For example, you could have said that, hey, there are some new member of the family in the way, and if we don't have space, some of the kids will have to share the space with the young baby. And then, of course, the youngsters are not going to be happy to share a room with the young baby. So they might be saying, okay, we better change, rather than complaining about their friends whom they leave behind. Or you can say that, for example, that if we go to the new place, we can keep a dog. And then all the kids are going to say, wow, that's great, because we're going to have space to keep a dog, and that's going to be a positive influence. So what I'm trying to say is the reasons and the belief that the change is positive must be there before the change is happening. Otherwise, there'll be continuous cribs during the change, and people are not going to be happy.